So now we're ready to start building the income statement in our Excel workbook. And just some of the things to remember is we want to put numbers in only once. And so we're color coding it, and yellow background is for cells that you put numbers in. No background or formulas. Make notes outside your printable area, and blue are special things that we need to figure out. You already built the balance sheet, and so we're going to use that Excel file and start to bring in our income statement and build it. So over here we have the balance sheet that was already built, and it's labeled balance sheet. And then here is the income statement. And so now we're going to go ahead and fill out and make the income statement. Again, one of the first things that I like to do is just kind of frame out it so that I know where I need to put in numbers and then where I need to add my formulas in. And so just going down through here, numbers, yellow are numbers that we need to give data, and formulas are stuff that at this point probably refer to the incomes, the balance sheet information, or we're doing totals here. So crop cells, that's the cash cells for my crops, so it should be yellow. And then there's an inventory adjustment here, and that's my accrual adjustment. That information would come from the balance sheet, so it's a formula. Market livestock is the cells of my livestock, so it's yellow. Then there's an inventory adjustment. Livestock products would be like dairy and eggs, milk and eggs. Government programs, that would be cash that I'd be receiving. Gains, losses on sale of cold breeding livestock purchased and raised. We're calling it a gain loss, but it's up here in the revenue section, so this is really the sales that I'd have of breeding livestock. And then change in value due to change in quantity of raised breeding livestock. This is going to be a formula. Crop insurance proceeds, money they give to me, so it's money, or I type in a number. Change in accounts receivable is a formula. Patronage dividends are if you belong to a cooperative, then you're a member, and so part of the earnings come back to you as patronage dividends. Purchased feeder livestock and cost of feed and grain is yellow. Then down here in the expense section, we have, it's really pretty easy because all of these first things up through miscellaneous expenses, they're all different expenses, cash expenses, so it's yellow. Then we have all of our formulas, the accrual adjustments. Depreciation's a little special. We're going to put in a formula there, but it's something that we kind of watch out for, and so I just put a different background and I used blue. Cash interest paid is cash amount, so it's yellow. And then the change in accrued interest is adjustment, a formula. Total farm expense, net farm income from operations, those are just subtotals of the above information. Machinery sales, if we have a gain loss of machinery sales, or a gain loss due to a change in our base value, that would be something that we'd put in. Off-farm wages. And then coming down here, income before taxes is a formula. We're in the income tax section. We have cash income tax expense, personal income tax expense. Both of those are cash amounts, and so they're yellow. And so these are change in, and anytime you see the change in, you know it's a formula. And then we've got some more subtotals. So we've now got everything in there, placeholders to know what we're doing. Because I'm not going out on my columns as I go down, this heading for this column versus this column doesn't really tell me anything, then I'm not going to use freeze panes here because I don't need it. So on the last module, module 2, the homework assignment included information for the financial statements. And so you're going to use that information again on this. And one of the sheets talked about during the calendar year 2011, the following transactions. So the income statement is for the year ending December 31st, 2011. And so since it's during the year, we want to use that during the year sheet. And the first number on there says sale of feeder animals. Sales means that I probably received cash, so it should be revenue. I come down in here, and it's my market livestock. So I type in 49,624. The next amount is labor hired, and that's an expense. I come down here to hired labor, and that's 20,000. Fertilizer and chemicals should be an expense, and it's right there, 15,033. 033. Rent for land and pasture is 8,900. Supplies 720. Repairs 4,200. So it's making it look really easy, isn't it? Freight 620. The problem is some of these things on here are not going to be used on your income statement, and so you've got to kind of figure out what things go on the income statement and what don't. But so far we're just getting all the easy ones. Cattle marketing is 250. Veterinary and medical expense 1540. The next one says patronage dividends. Patronage dividends were in the revenue section from being a co-op member. Patronage dividends $765. Getting a few chords out of the way. And then grain sales would be up here, 149, 644. Machinery purchased during the year. So that says it's 18,790. This is expenses, and so down here in the expense section is stuff that we're buying but we're going to use up within a year. So our machinery purchases doesn't go on here. However, we need to keep track of that and know what it is for our depreciation. And so I would go over here to the balance sheet, and over here I'm going to change this a little bit. Whoops. Purchases, and I'm going to do book value of sales. I'm just going to delete what's here because we don't need it, and it was off to the side, so I forgot to delete it before I started this one. Make it yellow, so give us a place to put things. And then here, purchases of machinery was 18,790, and so under machinery and equipment I'm going to put 18,790. Then the next one on the sheet is government incentive income. So back to our income statement. Government incentive payments, so that government program payments. And their incentives, and so that's money coming into us, and that's 18,978. And we have crop insurance proceeds, money that we receive. Proceeds always means received. And there's crop insurance proceeds, 50,000. Miscellaneous cash expenses, 2419. Usually you always put your miscellaneous expenses at the very bottom. Seed, 18,000. An expense there. Fuel and lube, 19,048. And so I'm just going right down that sheet that you had and finding places to put them in the income statement. Utilities, 29,603. Custom hire expense is the next one, 12,709. Crop insurance premiums. So premiums means something that you're paying. And so that's 15,890. An expense. Insurance and taxes, 16,797. So when it says insurance and taxes here is what we'd be talking about as property taxes, or like taxes on your land, taxes on vehicles and stuff. It wouldn't be your income taxes. Income taxes is a separate section. And then off-farm wages, that's down here in its separate category. Off-farm wages, 23,600. And then we've got new carpet and drapes for home. That's a personal expense, and also it's carpet and drapes, and so it's not for something we'd be doing depreciation on because it's personal, and it's non-current assets, so it doesn't go anywhere here on the income statement. However, since we haven't used it, you might want to just highlight it to know that it's something that you may have to use it somewhere else. Income taxes paid for the farm and for off-farm income, so that's down here in income taxes. Cash income tax expense for the farm was $41.34, and for the off-farm income, $23.61. Okay. Interest paid was $35,583. Come up to interest. Cash interest paid $33,583. The current portion term debt indicated that the balance sheet was paid on time and a new operating loan was taken out. That's all to do with principal, so it doesn't belong on the income statement. Then the next line says that money was paid on the operating loan. Again, that's all related to principal, so it doesn't matter for the income statement. But you might want to note those things so that you may have to use them somewhere else. And then the next line says breeding livestock was purchased for $2,800. So that's a non-current asset, and it's involving depreciation, so we need to come back over here to the balance sheet. Purchased breeding livestock was purchased for $2,800. Put that in here for our purchases. And feeder livestock was purchased for $65.05. Feeder livestock is over here on the income statement because it's not breeding livestock. Purchases of feeder livestock, $65.05. And feed purchased was $16.94. And there was a net flow in personal borrowings. So all of that also is personal borrowings and it's principal, so it doesn't go on the income statement. So now you've got all the information filled in here. Now we just have to do formulas. So let's just start at the top. We've got our revenue here, and we've got crop sales of $149,644. And then our next one is the change in crop inventory. So this is the money that we received during the year, but we want the total of these two to reflect the amount that was actually produced during the year. And so let's go over and just look at it on our balance sheet before we get started. Crops are going to be up in current assets. And so here, our crops right here. And so if I just highlight this, we had $70,232 at the beginning, and we had $76,290 at the end. So we went up by, around $4,000 or $5,000. So if this went up over here, do you think it should be a positive or a negative amount that's our adjustment? So we sold this much, plus we increased our inventory. And so if you increased your inventory, we've actually produced more than what we sold. And so this should be a positive number. Then come back over here. And so just thinking through it, if I take my ending minus my beginning, that's going to show the increase and be my adjustment. I have more than one number here, so I'm going to have to do a sum. So say equals SUM, opening parenthesis, come back over here, and then just highlight all the crop areas. Even if you don't have stuff for hay and potatoes here, you may want to use those for other types of crops and for other situations later. And then close your parenthesis, hit enter, and there's your number. And I did something wrong. And what I did wrong is that's my beginning, and then I've got to subtract off, or that was my ending, I've got to subtract off my beginning. So after I hit, we'll go back into your formula. You want to do a minus sum, opening parentheses, then go over here to the balance sheet, and now you want to highlight your beginning range, close your parenthesis, hit enter, and so there you have your $6,058.